Good morning, it is 9:08, it is Money Monday. A couple weeks ago here we talked about the changing American dream with our guests from Ginger Consulting. A new study shows that nearly 50% of young adults under the age of 30 are living with their parents right now.
This number hasn't been seen since the Great Depression era, but this isn't a generation failing to launch. Here to explain the issue and why so many folks are living at home right now is Sara Croymans, an extension educator at the University of Minnesota. Good morning. Thank you for being here to talk about this kind of interesting trend. Let's start with the numbers, and can you talk about what the statistics tell us about what's happening across the country right now?
Sure. The Federal Reserve does an annual study, and they found that 49%, almost 50% of folks ages 18, I think, to 29 are living at home with their parents. And then another 47% of that age group who are not living at home with their parents are getting some type of financial support. And it might be helping out with that cell phone or paying a portion of the rent or maybe helping out with car insurance or health insurance, that type of thing. So these young folks are getting some support from their families or their parents.
I think this is just such a generational thing. Because it unheard of for a lot of generations. Like, what? No, they're 18. They're out of the house. Can you kind of explain a little bit what's going on?
Well, there's so much going on. There might be student loan debt that folks are having. Rental prices are pretty steep and can be really expensive for those starting wages. And home ownership, right? The price of homes these days is pretty high, as well as those interest rates might be pricing young people out of the home ownership market. And so they're working, but they're not making enough to make ends meet.
So it's not necessarily a failure to launch in many cases. It's more complicated than that.
Oh, it sure is. It sure is. And I have 3 children that my husband and I have hopefully successfully launched, but each of them have been back at different times, and we're there to help support them as they're transitioning to something better and focusing on those goals. But many families are there to help out a little bit as they're on their journey.
Well, I mean, I definitely get the idea that, hey, if I can help you come home after college, sit here and don't pay rent for a couple years, pay off your stuff. I mean, I definitely can see the advantage to do that.
Yeah, most definitely. And recently I was on did a professional development event with the Financial Therapy Association on this very topic, and their bottom line was, if families are helping young people bridge to something better, something goal-oriented, that's all great. But if the situation is enabling them to do something that's not quite so positive, then we need to start questioning that.
That's always sort of the conflict as a parent. Yeah.
Sleeping in the basement couch and not getting up and having a job or something like that, right?
Yeah, or if there's different addictions and things. But
Sure.
Typically the majority of these young people are working and they're trying to get some debts paid off and they're planning for the future.
So beyond individual bank accounts, how's this shift changing broader family dynamics and their long-term goals? We're talking about buying houses and things like that.
Yeah. Well, definitely, it's so important for families to sit down and have those conversations about the situation, communicating about household tasks, right? Who takes the garbage out, those sorts of things. But also the conversation on what's the plan? What's our timeline? How long do you plan to live here? So definitely there's that. Also for the parents, those who are hosting these young people, I really encourage them to not be tapping into their retirement funds, or please don't be stopping contributions there, because they need to be planning for their future. Also, we caution these parents not to be taking on additional debt in order to be supporting these young people. Might be a good idea as well to charge these young folks just a small amount of rent so they can start to get into that habit.
Sure.
The parents then can put that into a special account then that the young person can use as a deposit when they get into that apartment.
Because you are seeing this with the adults helping spend. They're not saving as much money, or even in a lot of cases they are cracking them into their retirement, which just means they're going to be working longer, right?
Right, right. And I think most of us look forward to those retirement years, but we need to be consistently planning for that, and we don't want to interrupt that in order to care for those young adults. So it's kind of an and both. We want to be supporting them, but we also need to be taking care of ourselves.
I know that there's sometimes a stigma attached to this type of situation, but just based on the numbers we saw, we need to start thinking about this differently. How do we do that? How do we reframe expectations and realities here?
Oh, for sure, for sure. There are so many cultures where multi-generational homes are the norm, right? Many different countries and even different cultures here in our nation, and we need to start to be accepting of that. Our youngest was with us for a while, and people would be like, oh, is he still at home? And I would say, yes, you know, and this is the plan, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're working towards something good, and that's important. So I think we really need to address that. As you indicated, it's not a failure to have these young people, but again, emphasizing the goals and the direction that they're moving.
Kind of all seems like it's the way you're handling it. If you're handling it in a positive way, and you're charging them for rent, doing whatever you can to sort of send them off with less debt or whatever it might be. But the flip side is that if they're being lazy, then that's not helpful either, right? Like,
very true, very true. And I think that communication is so important between the parents and the young adults, and having those conversations so there aren't any misconceptions or misunderstandings, and to head off any issues ahead of time is so important.
What are some practical steps? I know you kind of touched on this, but if you're starting this conversation, almost like you would enter a contract at an apartment or buying a house, what are some practical steps? Is there a good framework parents should take with their kids in a situation like this? How do you start that conversation?
That's a great question. And I think the dinner table in my home is a great place for us to be having some of those conversations and just talk about scheduling, right? You know, some people like to stay up late, others get up early. How do we manage that? How do we handle who carries out the garbage and scrubs the kitchen floor? And what about those bathrooms and some of that? But then also talking, as I indicated, about those timelines. When are they anticipating, and what steps are they taking to get themselves there? So breaking some of those larger goals into manageable steps so that they can achieve that success.
I mean, we didn't really even talk about it, but it's with kids graduating now and the job market's tough. Let's factor in a little artificial intelligence taking away people's jobs. I mean, you know, this is a real reality for people that it may take them longer than they expect to get a job when they graduate.
Right. Well, and as you and I both know, we start at the bottom typically in the career world, and then we work our way up, and our salaries will increase along the way. And so we may not be able to have that dream apartment or that dream home right away. We need to work up to that, and so starting with a smaller apartment or a smaller home to purchase, and then, you know, increasing the value of those as we go. And we typically can't have our forever home in our first home purchase. We need to work our way up to that, and helping young people understand and accept that a little bit is important.
Well, I think that's such an important cultural thing. I know there's a lot of people sitting at home right now of a certain generation who they bought their first house and they've lived in it their entire lives and they paid it off, and I don't know, things just don't quite seem to work that way anymore.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Well, awesome, Sarah. Thanks for stopping by. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Those numbers are so interesting.
Yeah, it is. And Ellen's about ready to send one off to college, so she's
Good luck.
See?
Thank you.
Don't worry, he'll be back.
I know. You know, that's a comfort to me.
Until
Thank you.
he's 30. I like having ours around. I don't mind.
Careful what you wish for. I do know a lot of parents who are really enjoying having their adult children. They're kind of forging a new relationship with them.
For sure.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, my daughter and her family were with us, and so we had 3 little ones in the home. Talk about wonderful.
Well, that's what I mean.
memories.
It's one way to look at it as a negative, but it's definitely a lot of positives. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. And if you want to develop critical skills like managing your money, head to the University of Minnesota Extension's website. We'll post a link at minnesotalive.com.